Hey, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to weekly live Q&A. This is the global community for adult survivors of childhood trauma. Most of the people here on this channel have survived childhood trauma in the form of abuse, and they are still living with those after effects and some symptoms of CPTSD, some after effects of complex trauma now in their adult years. It's affecting their relationships, their job, their finances, their health, their thought life, their body, everything. It's affecting everything. And then we all show up here and you ask questions and I do my best to answer your questions. All of my questions are from a lived experience coaching perspective. I simply share information and what's worked for me on my 17/18-year healing journey from complex trauma. I'm a certified professional coach and a certified family trauma professional, family trauma practitioner as well. So YouTube is never a substitute for professional medical care. I encourage you to seek out a trauma-informed therapist, a trauma-informed licensed practitioner, qualified professional. This is not crisis care. I'm not set up. I don't have the bandwidth for crisis care. I don't have the bandwidth for crisis care. But over here in the chat box, I believe it's on this side, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are all here and you're having a conversation, and I have a whole bunch of messages up at the top that I left for you right before the video went live that I typed in personally, and some of them are crisis hotline information numbers. And if all of us shared just one of those phone numbers on social, then you could save a life and it would have cost you nothing but a moment of your time. And I'm huge on suicide prevention. One of those numbers is a suicide prevention lifeline. There's also the crisistextline.org. If you're a rape, abuse, or incest survivor, I encourage you to reach out to our friends over at RAIN, RAINN.org, crisistextline.org, suicide prevention lifeline.org. If you're in the UK, then I encourage you to reach out to the Samaritans. You can email someone in their office. Her name is Jo, J-O, at Samaritans.org. And it's my privilege to be here every week answering your questions. This week, I'm answering a whole bunch of emails that you guys sent in. I receive emails every week. Let me put my feet up here. I just want to get comfortable. Okay. I receive emails every week from you guys. And I do my best to answer them or to forward them to one of my assistants who they're all vetted by me. They're safe people. And I do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. It has taken me 6, 8, 12 weeks to respond to emails historically, because the growth of our community over the past 4 years has been exponential, day after day and week after week, month after month, year after year, starting in 2014. It's never slowed down. There's always more survivors. There's never a day that goes by that I don't get either a YouTube subscriber, an email from one of you, a voice message, all of the above, or someone accessing a downloadable resource or watching a YouTube video or reaching out for support or wanting to get plugged into one of our free Facebook groups or asking questions about monthly subscription of receiving daily phone calls where they can receive support. So that's a lot of people and a lot of stuff, and I'm doing the best I can, and it's a joy. I love it so much. I'm not saying don't contact me. I'm just saying I love that you're patient because it takes me a really long time. You guys are the priority. This channel is for you. This community is for you. I'm answering your questions, and I responded to a whole bunch of emails today just letting you guys know, hey, I'm going to be answering emails tonight on video. So if you can come, great, and if you can't, that's okay too. But I just want to go through, encourage you to, again, share that hotline information, share that crisis information on social. Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Insta, like on Snapchat, anywhere you want to share that hotline information. Kalisha makes some amazing memes. Special thank you to Lisa, who's been doing a lot of the vetting, all the vetting for all the groups. Special thank you to Matt, who is moderating tonight and moderates every single night. I have a lot of people who have done a lot of research. Maggie has done a lot of research. A whole bunch of you have stepped up. Jody sends out encouraging memes across the internet to every single person that's in crisis, that's within her reach. I just want to say thank you. You guys are the reason this community is amazing, and I appreciate you. So I'm just going to read you some emails. Please send in your comments, your yes, I agree with this person, I identify with that, me too, or if you have an answer to someone's question, please send in something that's working for you. By all means, if you have something that's working in your trauma recovery journey, something that's helping you heal at an exponential rate, by all means, share it with the rest of the community. I know we all know this, but we all talk about how complex trauma recovery is not linear. Healing is not a linear process. We don't get to start here and go here. You know, it's not a ABC, 1, 2, 3, done. Like there's no, it's not a linear process. It's a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so, for instance, the last several weeks, we've been doing a series on feelings. And I'm pausing on our feelings series to answer a whole bunch of your guys' questions, because the more we dig into feelings, the more emails I get from you guys that are really in depth and really specific. So I know that this series on feelings has brought up a lot of stuff for you guys because of the emails I'm getting from you guys. So if I don't get to your email this week or your question this week, have no fear. We can stay on this sort of a thing where I answer your email questions and answer your questions. We can do this for as long as you like. You guys are the reason I show up every week. So remember, this is for you, and whatever works for you guys, then that's what we'll do. Okay. I'm really excited that I have so many emails from you guys that I get to sort of choose from. I want to go through and just read you all of them. Of course, I'm going to preserve and keep your identity private. I am never going to share your identity unless, of course, you say, please share who I am. And even then I probably won't. You know, I like keeping everything very, very anonymous. So on a side note, I'm getting a lot of spam just this past 2 weeks. A lot of spam, like weird jumbled up sentences and weird stuff. It's like a bot has discovered me or something, and it's a little odd. So I'm just going to go into my sent messages here. Let me just check over on my Slack channel with Matt and see how you guys are doing. Hello to John Harvey. Hello to Monica. And hello, oh, you know what? I didn't get to Poppy's question last week. Hello to Poppy. And I'm sure there are a lot more of you here, but I just wanted to say thanks for being here. I'm excited to be able to provide all this for you guys, and for you guys to all be here. Oh, so when I pop up the YouTube cards, they're still going to be here. When Harriet pops up those YouTube cards, and then I guess your guys' chat box is over here, and it shows up on the replays now. It's amazing. Every single thing that you guys are supporting one another with and sharing, it all shows up on the replay. That is so exciting for me, just as the creator who's creating this safe space for you. So you guys are incredible. Let me just go over and just read you some emails, okay? Okay, here's one that was sent in. Hi, Athena. I don't have social media like Facebook or Twitter because it makes me feel really depressed. I get that a lot, by the way. A lot of you say that. I don't have very many friends at all. I just started listening to your videos on YouTube. I'm going through a lot right now. I live with my abuser. I'm stuck here because I was abused by multiple family members. I tried to commit suicide 20 plus times. I just turned 30 years old. I have PTSD, agoraphobia, and I really cannot work. I really cannot work because of it. My disability got cut down because they found out that my mom was giving me reduced rent. And I have a roommate, my brother, who's an alcoholic. My mom always kept me here. I got married and my ex joined the military, but he cheated on me and he abandoned me and my daughter after he was in Korea for a year, and he has a new family. My mom took custody of my oldest child. I got pregnant again by someone else, and now she took both of my kids. I tried to get on medication to help me get better, and I ended up getting Steven Johnson syndrome, and I burned from the inside out. Now I am stuck here. My mom's getting older. She wants me to take my kids back now, but I'm unable to provide for myself. I don't trust the system. The cops here, there's a lot of abuse going on in their organization. I was molested while I was in foster care as well. Now what is scaring me is my mom is bringing another abuser here from overseas. She helped him get his visa. He never did anything to me that I remember, but my sister told me he was a pedophile. Even my brother freaked out that he was going to come here. I confronted my mom about wanting him far away from my girls, and I told her what my sister had said, and she said that I don't know. She said, I don't know what's wrong with her. Every man looks to her. Every man that looks at her, she thinks is bad. I told her that I don't blame her for what happened to me. It's the reason I'm sick. And she said, well, you need to get better because I could do what I want with my house. So my kids are safe and my dad has not abused them, but I do need to get away from here to heal. So I need to get better so that I can have my kids back one day, but it seems impossible. So this is just one email, you guys. This is just one. I get these emails from you guys every day. Different emails that are very similar to this every single day. And I just want us to hold a safe space for this gal who's going through a lot. And, you know, so many people can pass judgment on the survivor community. They could say, well, she's there. How come she's never gotten away? You know, what's she thinking? But if we listen to this gal's narrative, she was abused by several of her family members, and she has always been kept there at that house. And then the parents took custody of the kids, and now there's more abusers coming in the situation. And then now we have alcoholism that's entered the situation. We have mental illness. We have disability. We have all kinds of complex situations that are all interwoven in this narrative. So at the very, very, very end, she says that she really wants to heal and get away so she can get better and have her kids back someday, but it just seems impossible. And I want you to know, if you're watching right now, I emailed you and told you that I would be answering emails tonight, so I hope you're okay with this. I didn't say your name, but I just want you to know that it's not impossible. It may seem impossible. I've been in a lot of this similar stuff. In fact, a lot of this narrative I can relate to. The multiple abusers, the being kept in the house, the wanting to take custody or wanting to say, well, you better do this because I can do what I want. And I don't know what's wrong with that person. They just think that everybody's bad, blah, 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 blah. You know, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of manipulation, a lot of minimization. And I want to encourage you that nothing is impossible. But we can't try to take all the steps at once. We can't try to heal all at once, get the kids back at once, get away all at once, and have it all just happen overnight. It's taken you 30 years to get as sick as you are, and you are sick, and you are disabled. So we're not going to be able to unbake the cake ever, and we're not going to be able to unravel all this and help you get better overnight. It's going to take time. But I would say some healthy first steps that you can take is seeking out some trauma-informed care, either online or there in person, and just getting connected with a safe community of other people that have lived the trauma that you have lived, so that you don't give up and so you don't feel like you're all alone. And this is a great first step. You're here. You're here. You found our videos. You found us online, and you found a way to email us. So I'm hoping that our community members will be able to provide some support over here in the chat box, share with you some things that have worked for them. Maybe they're chiming in and saying, that's me too, me too, me too. I was in this situation. This is what worked for me. And if you're on a replay and you can't chat here in the chat box, if maybe you could leave a comment down below for this person. Let's just call her R. Her name starts with R. That's the name she prefers. And so we will say, like, dear R, this is what's worked for me. This is what I would do. These are organizations that I've reached out to. Here's a link to some online resources that I have found helpful. This is the name of a book that's helped me. This is a person on a podcast that I listen to that's helped me gain some courage. This is a group I belong to. I know she doesn't have a lot of social media because social media causes her to feel depressed. And I hear that a lot. The good news is CPTSDfoundation.org is going to have a place. It's like a private server, and it's not social media, and you're going to be able to receive some support. And that's the whole point of the foundation, you know, helping you gain life skills and feel like you can succeed in life and not fail. So you're not alone, R. And we love you, and we're going to hold this safe space for you, and we're going to welcome you back as often as you want to be here. And hopefully everyone can either leave some helpful comments here in the chat box or down below in the comments section, and this can be a source of support for you. And I'm just so happy to meet you and to know that you're here with us. So move on to the next email. Let me just check over with Matt and see if anyone has any suggestions. Oh, there's a question that came in about emails. It's not an email question. It's a question that came in about emails. It says, Athena, do any of the emails trigger you? I find sometimes helping others causes my own triggers to come forward. How do you deal with this if this happens to you? You know, interestingly, I had a practitioner email me and ask me to do a video on this very topic. So vicarious trauma is what you're describing, and countertransference is another thing that you're describing. And I'll be recording video on vicarious trauma and countertransference. But re-traumatization is a real thing. And sometimes emails and comments do trigger me, but I'm really good at managing my triggers. I'm really good at managing my environment. I have very healthy boundaries. I only allow myself to give of myself when I am giving with an internal yes and an external yes. So what that means is I don't ever say, okay, on the outside, if inside I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling good right now. Like if I'm feeling like I'm not feeling good right now, or not feeling strong, or not feeling great, then I have pretty healthy boundaries where I'm able to actually say, I can't do it right now. I'm sorry. Like I need to come back to these emails, which is why for a couple of years, it took me 6 to 8 weeks to respond to everybody's emails, because I was just in the throes of my own trauma recovery. This whole channel is a project, right? It started off #NoMoreShame project, which morphed into Trauma Recovery University. But this is a project. This channel is a project, and I am a project. So the answer is yes, they do sometimes, but I'm really good at having healthy boundaries and not overextending myself in a way that will be triggering. And if I do feel triggered, I just reach out to a colleague and say, oh, I'm so triggered right now. Oh my goodness. Like, pray for me. Please keep me in your prayers because I'm struggling right now. I could really use some extra prayers. So, but thanks for asking. And it does sometimes cause my stuff to come up, but healthy boundaries have helped me a lot, Deborah. Hunter says, hello, Athena. Hello, Hunter. High five. What is the best way to comfort my parents if and when it hits them that my abuse actually happened? Ooh, Hunter, you're not going to like my answer. It is not ever going to be your job to comfort your parents. That is not your responsibility. I know you want to, but that's part of our survivor stuff. We can't manage other people's emotions. The best way you can help them, Hunter, is by being 100% honest with them and just being authentic and real, and not trying to manage their emotions. You can't try to make them feel better. It is going to be natural for your parents to feel grief or sadness or anger or frustration, a range of different emotions all at once, perhaps. And if you would like to comfort them, you can give them a hug, but please don't not tell them the truth in an effort to spare their emotions or spare their pain. So I hope that that's okay. I hope that you receive that advice in the way that it's intended, which is with all the love, all the love. But it's not our job to comfort our parents. It just isn't. Not when it comes to our abuse. We are the person that is the survivor. We are the one that is healing, and it is their responsibility to seek out help and comfort and healing for the after effects of the, guilt / anger / sadness / grief that they're experiencing. If my husband feels guilt, anger, sadness, grief, or anything as a result of anything, whether it's my childhood sexual abuse, my exploitation, my severe neglect, whatever it is that I've gone through, I can't be in charge of comforting him because I have my hands completely full taking care of my own trauma recovery. So I would love for you to focus on your own trauma recovery. I hope that helps. So let's go to an email here. Okay, here's another email that I just got. When did I get this one? I got this a few days ago. We're going to call her C, okay? We're going to call her C. C says, my biggest struggle in my healing journey is social isolation. Ooh, Harriet, if you could pop up the video up there somewhere on the video I did on social isolation. I think I'm sitting on my couch in our old house with like the blinds drawn behind me, or I'm sitting on a brown couch or something. That's the thumbnail. It's called, I think it's just called social isolation, or maybe it's childhood sexual abuse and social isolation, or trauma recovery and social isolation. Maybe that would help as well. C goes on to say, though I have walked the walk of a survivor for many years now, and I've done many things in my adult life, I still have a certain amount of anxiety around social interaction. Me too. Me too. I was isolated most all of my childhood, but I don't isolate myself today as an adult. When I was in counseling years ago, my counselor said that I was going to have to fake it until I became comfortable in social interaction. I can tell when I'm faking it or I am natural. Does it take years to overcome this issue? Now, what I think C is saying is, I can't tell when I'm faking it or if I'm natural. Does it take years to overcome this issue? Because if she was saying I can tell, then there wouldn't be a question and there would be nothing to get over with because she would already be able to tell. So I think what C is saying is that she can't tell if she's faking that she's okay in social interaction or if she's actually okay. And she wants to know, does it take years to overcome this issue? So the answer is yes, it does take years to overcome this issue. And I'm a lot of the same. I'm a lot of the same way. When I am, when I am in a social situation, I typically have to sort of ramp up to it. I have to save up my emotional bandwidth, save up my emotional energy, and wait until I'm feeling an internal yes and an external yes to go to an event. If I'm doing it out of obligation, if I'm in a place where I'm maintaining a healthy boundary with myself, then I won't go to the event if I won't go to the event if I am going out of obligation only and I do not want to be there. I hope, does that make sense? So that's one of the things that's helped me. I know that that sounds like a counterintuitive way to like, how's that going to help? But for some reason, subconsciously, and remember, our subconscious wins 100 times out of 100. So I stopped doing things out of obligation in an effort to please other people or in an effort to be accepted by others. And I usually, I'm not saying always, I have not arrived. I've definitely not arrived. Like, I still struggle with this sometimes, but I usually only attend something if I'm excited to attend or it's something that I really want to do. And so when I do show up and I'm being okay and I'm being myself, I know that I'm authentically feeling like I want to be there because I've decided that I'm not going to go to events that I don't want to go to anymore. So I hope that helps, but it does take years. The quick answer is yes, it does take years. So yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. That's for sure. Especially like one of the emails that came in a few minutes ago from R. She's living with agoraphobia, and I was living with agoraphobia and body dysmorphia and social anxiety. Everyone seems to think I'm an extrovert because I'm friendly and because my husband is an extrovert. So they automatically think that we both are, because I'm not. Sometimes people out in the world, whoever they are, who are those people? Sometimes people tend to think that introverts are silent and quiet and standing in the corner, which that can be an introvert, and that extroverts are the ones that are loud and talkative. And that's not necessarily the textbook definition of an introvert versus an extrovert. An introvert is the type of person who gets recharged. They recharge their batteries, so to speak, when they are either all alone by themselves or with like one other person. And that's me. An extrovert is the type of person that recharges their batteries or gets the most amount of energy and excitement and fulfillment out of being around a lot of people in public. And while I can function around a lot of people in public, my battery goes really fast. So, but if I'm with one person or by myself, my energy level goes up, 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 up. Like it raises higher and higher and higher. And it's just because I'm an introvert. That's all. I never used to know that about myself. I thought I was an extrovert because everybody said I was, and then I couldn't figure out why I wasn't doing it right because I was exhausted all the time. So I figured there must be something wrong with me. But it turns out like I'm just not an extrovert. So I'm okay with that now. So I don't know if that helps, Cheryl. I hope it helps somehow. So this is a gal named E, and E just sent in this nice email last week, and I just want to read it really quick. I don't know if it has a lot of questions in it, but it was something really nice that I wanted you guys to hear. She says, "Hi, Athena. I know you probably get tons of messages and emails. I do, but I love them. I just had to reach out to you. I discovered your videos on CPTSD on YouTube while I was at work. I work in the mental health field, so I was trying to gain some insight to better help my own clients." How amazing is she already? Seriously. We love you, E. However, she says, "What I found was so much help for me personally. I'm an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse and incest, and your videos have helped me identify some serious triggers in my life and begin working at some coping skills to help me. I love your videos and your opinions on things, and I just wanted you to know how much your videos have already helped me, and I've only watched them for a couple of days. I can't wait to continue watching and become a part of this wonderful and supportive community. Thanks so much for doing what you do. Love, E." Thank you. You're so welcome, and we're so happy to have you. If you could if you knew what was going on behind the scenes here in my head and like with my colleagues, we have like an entire like database and ecosystem being built that is for helping professionals, people in the mental health field that want to better serve their clients. They want to become more trauma informed, and they want to provide access just for being one of their treasured clients or patients, whatever you call your clients, whether they're your clients or your patients, I don't know what you call them, but a colleague of mine and I have been masterminding behind the scenes to build this entire like virtual Disneyland for practitioners to be able to pick and choose what resources are helpful for their particular list of clients. Like, let's say they specialize in anxiety. Let's say they specialize in addiction. Let's say this practitioner over here specializes in agoraphobia. Let's say this particular practitioner over here specializes in self-harm. Whatever genre of mental health, bipolar, mood disorders, DID, what complex trauma, attachment trauma, you name it. We are creating a database of amazing resources for practitioners to share with their clients. Their clients will have access and touch points in between their appointments. It's amazing. I'm so excited. So it's not going to be rolled out for another year, but just be on the lookout for that because it's super amazing. And we're going to make it available to every single practitioner in the entire United States that reaches out to us or that we can get in contact with, or globally for that matter, because I do have people that have reached out. I have Declan and Lucy who have reached out offering to translate resources into other languages. So yeah, that's for the mental health practitioners themselves who want trauma-informed resources for their clients, and so that their clients will have touch points in between their appointments. So, but right now, what we're doing is we're doing that, but for all the individual survivors of trauma and patients and clients of all of the practitioners out there, dealing directly with you, the community of survivors that needs help. But in the next year or so, that will be for your therapists and your psychologists and your psychiatrists and your licensed clinical social workers and your counselors and all the people that you're dealing with, your clergy members. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you for your kind email, E. Let's see. This one is A. We're going to say, hi, A. A says, my biggest struggle has been that no one else seems to think that I have been abused, mainly my family. They just don't believe me. As far as I know, they have never been able to validate my feelings. When I try to tell them how I feel or explain what's going on with me, they ignore it or they treat it as though it is insignificant. For the most part, I have never had support from my immediate family or my step family. I gave up telling them anything by the time I was in middle school, and I started stuffing and numbing my feelings with food. I was verbally and emotionally abused from the time I entered elementary school, though things escalated once I was in high school. I was psychologically abused by my stepdad almost daily. I was made fun of and bullied in school almost daily. I was ignored by my mom and my dad and my siblings almost daily. I was getting hit on every side, not physically hit. This just means that I felt helpless and overwhelmed. And I didn't know where to turn to, and I had no one to talk to. I actually wanted to kill myself by the time I was 14. I really believed that my family would be happier without me. I know it's a miracle that I am still here. I may have been molested when I was a child, but I'm really not sure. I do know that in my teens and in my 20s, there were a few incidents of molestation and attempted molestation. One incident, I told my stepdad, but he actually said that it was all my fault. I hope I can still be a part of your community, even though I haven't necessarily experienced childhood sexual abuse. Yes, you can be a member of our community. You're here and we love you and we're excited that you're here. Yes, 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 you can be a member of our community. Topics that I would like for you to discuss in future videos, Athena, are psychological abuse, anxiety, panic attacks, rejection, and betrayal. You got it. I know that I do have some videos. Harriet, if you could search our video database and look for anything on psychological or emotional abuse, healing emotional abuse or psychological abuse, if you could look for videos, Harriet, on anxiety and panic attacks. I'm pretty sure there was one on anxiety. And then I believe there is one on betrayal as well. If you could look for those videos, Harriet, and you could pop up the YouTube cards, that would be amazing. So I just want you to know, A, we're going to call her A. Those links should help you. And then, by the way, you guys, all the YouTube cards, if I run out of YouTube cards and the links don't pop up, they'll be down below in the description section tomorrow on Tuesday, the 20th of March, 2018. Let's pop over and see what's going on with Matt and with all you guys over in the comment section. Oh, thank you for loving my candles. Aren't they pretty? I love them so much. I finally set myself up in a way where I could just, just stay in one place. I'm not going to move all around my, house anymore, trying to find a clean table, trying to find a clean couch and a clean backdrop. I'm just like, hey, whatever. I bought a little cardboard partition right there. This little piece of cardboard right here. Bought that on eBay and just brought you here into my room. Behind the cardboard partition is a mess, which you do not need to look at. Joey says, what do you do? Oh, wait, I think there's one before that. Sorry, Joey. Monica says, what would you say are the stages of healing from CPTSD? Like step by step or a roadmap, perhaps? Monica, it's not linear. There are a lot of different aspects of CPTSD recovery. Realization, embracing the truth. Emotional intelligence is a really big one. I think Richard Grennan calls it emotional literacy. He has a course on emotional literacy. It's amazing. And then a big one, Monica, is grieving. We actually have to sit with anything we wish was different in our childhood. We have to fully experience and talk about and share with a safe person or within a journal anything we wish was different, anything that we have remorse over. We wish it was different. We need to feel that, talk about it. What would we have preferred to happen? How would we have preferred our childhood go? Like, what are the main differences? How would our childhood have looked if it was the way we would like for it to be? That's one of the huge ones. That's a huge key to healing or CPTSD. And then on top of that, we have to talk about codependency and begin healing codependent tendencies where we depend on other people for how our day is going to go. So those are some big ones, Monica. But I can go more in depth on other videos as well, of course. John Harvey says, my question is finding a way to balance our emotions when we are triggered. John Harvey, what works really well is Michelle Rosenthal's technique. If one of you super sleuths out there in the comment section or below or over in the chat box rather, if someone can Google Michelle Rosenthal's how to stop a flashback or interrupt a flashback, a PTSD flashback. This works for emotional flashbacks as well, John Harvey. And let's see here. It's an image. So if you Google it and then click on images and then right click and then save that image to your phone or to your desktop and then share that image either in the chat box or share a link to that image in the chat box so that John Harvey can see it. It talks about tapping your left shoulder, tapping your right shoulder, stop. Talks about engaging with another person in real time. And then grounding techniques are also really, really helpful, John Harvey. Really, really helpful grounding techniques. Putting your hands in cold water as well disengages the hypothalamus. What's happening when you're unable to find your balance, when you're triggered into an emotional flashback? A lot of times what's happened is trauma is experienced in the right hemisphere of the brain, and there's a little part that connects your right hemisphere to your left hemisphere, and the bridge is out. The language center is in the left hemisphere of the brain. And so you don't really have any words, and you can sort of feel swirly, almost like you're just not sure what's really going on. You feel sick to your stomach. Sometimes you feel like you're going to fall over. You're feeling really uneasy, you feel queasy. Your hands might feel sweaty. You feel shortness of breath. Sometimes people report feeling like they've actually, or like maybe having a heart attack. Panic attacks are a very, very, very real part of PTSD and CPTSD, part of emotional flashbacks. So I hope that's helpful. Joey had a question here somewhere. Let me find Joey's question. Joey says, what do you do when someone you are friends with is feeling really crappy, but because of circumstances that have happened, I'm afraid to talk to her? I don't want to turn down help to someone, but I also want to protect myself. I was always told that you answer when spoken to or you will get into trouble. I'm afraid that this is what's going to happen to me. I feel bad for this person, but then in a way I'm scared to help her because of things that she has said and done. So I would, if this was me, Joey, as much as I want to reach out and help this other person, I would probably pause and I would wait for that person to ask me for help. Or I might just send them a little note, like an email or a text saying, just wanted you to know I'm here for you if you need me. I'm thinking of you today. Just want you to know that I'm thinking of you, and I'm here if you should ever need me. I'm here for you. Yeah, that's harmless and helpful. But I have a tendency, at least previously, I had a tendency to be very, very codependent. And so I couldn't really trust myself. I couldn't really trust myself to only reach out to people when it was a good idea. Sometimes I felt myself reaching out to people in a way that I was seeking a sense of significance by helping others. And we need to make sure that we're always only helping others because we just want to help and we have our own emotional resources to give. Before we give to others of our emotional resources, we have to double check and make sure that we have enough for ourselves. And previously, I would want to help so many people. I would always want to help. And I would have very boundaryless giving. I wouldn't have any boundaries in my giving. I would just give of myself, even to my own detriment. I remember what Bobby calls this. She calls this lighting ourselves on fire to keep someone else warm. And Joey, just check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I lighting myself on fire to keep my friend warm? And if I'm not, if I really am just genuinely wanting to help and I have my own emotional resources to give and I feel that this might be helpful, then I would just maybe send that text message or send that email and let them know you're thinking of them. That can't hurt. I think everyone probably appreciates knowing that they're being thought of or that they're cared about. Sorry, I feel like I've had like a eyelash in my eye like the whole night while I'm on video. Of course, it doesn't happen like when I'm not recording a video for you guys. My eye doesn't twitch and I don't feel like I have a hair in my eye like when I'm not recording a video. Don't you love live? Don't you love live video? Rhonda says, Athena, you're absolutely correct. Thank you. I'm not sure what I'm correct about, but I'm going to continue reading. She says, I am told all the time that I'm an extrovert and yet the crowd is gone and I'm a total waste and I'm exhausted. Yes, I'm telling you, the struggle is real. Like I was told I was an extrovert my whole life because I was friendly. So here I thought that introverts were unfriendly people. And so I didn't want to ever label myself as an introvert because I didn't want to be labeled as unfriendly. It's like I just needed to research it or something. The struggle is real, you guys. Like, you need to check in with yourself and find out like what recharges your batteries. Is it when you're by yourself? Do you like being alone? I do. um, and, and when you're around a whole big crowd of people, are you depleted? And if so, you could be an introvert and it doesn't mean you're unfriendly, just so you know. So it's definitely worth looking into. Molly Black and Blue says, I feel like if I hadn't had the trauma, I would be more of an extrovert. Me too. Me too, Molly. And she goes on to say, but my anxiety and my many other issues make me feel completely drained being around people. Me too. My poor husband, before I had my most recent like wave of memories that's like started this like, you know, most recent round of trauma recovery. Like, I mean, prior to meeting my husband, I had gone through years and years and years and years and years of recovery. Like, let's just be real. Okay. I had been healing for 8 years, 7 years before I met my husband. 7 years. So that's a lot of work, right? 7 years of work. However, I was feeling super fine after these 7 years of healing. I was feeling really strong. And then I got hit with another wave of like memories and trauma recovery and things that were starting to happen. And so I started healing those and I was feeling pretty good and I was feeling like I was doing pretty well. And then boom, I had a family member die. And then I'm like, trying to pick myself back up after that. And then boom, someone else dies. And then I'm like finally feeling better and I'm picking myself up after that. And then boom, someone else dies. I mean, we had like 6 people pass away in the course of 12 months that are really close to us. And it was just like, grief is cumulative, you guys. Trauma is cumulative. Grief is trauma. Grief is reminiscent of trauma. And it's like the embodiment of it in your body, right? Like when we're grieving something, it's traumatizing to our body. And so every time I would start to feel better, it was like, boom, boom. I was like yanked back down again. So I would say the last like 10 years of my life have been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down trauma recovery. Like it's not even like, I haven't had my head above water for very long. It's like really, really, really hard. So I feel you. I feel you, Molly. Like seriously. I would definitely be more of an extrovert. In fact, I think I was more of an extrovert. Like I really do think that maybe I was more of an extrovert previously, but just like, I mean, just struggling with some agoraphobia there for a little while, not wanting to leave my house after my son left for the military because I couldn't leave the house without thinking of him because he had grown up here. We spent every day on this island together and it's a small town and I would leave the house. And if I ran into one other person, I found myself like hyper vigilant, like looking and making sure I wasn't going to run into anybody. I was wearing glasses and like trying not to be seen. And if I would run into one person, the first thing they would say is, how's your son? How's he doing? And I was like, I don't know. He's in the military. Like they don't really communicate very much, you know, depending on like what branch of the military your kids are in. And so I didn't have answers for people's questions. I mean, it was very, very, very stressful. And then that was just like, I was also dealing with just like the empty nesting thing. Like my whole identity was wrapped up in being a mother and I was a really good mom. And so like, all my goodness was like taken away from me. And like, I didn't know, I couldn't reach him. And even if I could reach him, he was like getting married and then he was busy and it was hard. It was like really hard. And so I didn't want to leave my house for like over a year. I was just kind of like, sort of like really recluse, like just didn't want to go anywhere. And I was very depressed and struggling. And then, you know, then my dad passed away. Then it was just more stuff, you know, just a lot, like life happens, you know. It's okay for us to just say, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going there. I don't want to hang out with people. I don't want to go to this event. I don't want to go to that event. I don't want to go to networking. I don't want to do this. It's okay to say no. Like some Sunday mornings, depending on like how busy my work week was and how many emails I received and what's going on YouTube and what's going on with my, sometimes things happen on the YouTube channel and I got to be over on you now because YouTube hates me and wants to shut down my channel. And, or like, something's going on in my groups, or like one of my websites crashes, or like I got some stuff going on and I'm getting spammed, and, I have a bot that's hacked my email and all these people are receiving spammy emails from me, and then they're calling me abusive. And it's like, it can just be anything. It can be any number of things that can just cause you, like, I'll wake up on a Sunday morning and be like, I am not going to church. Like, sorry, you can go without me. And it took me years to be okay with saying to my husband, I'm not going today. Because I would think, like all the people are going to be like, where's Athena? What's wrong with your wife? What's wrong with your wife? Like, something must be wrong with her. She's not at church like a lot. Like, what happened? It's like, I have all these voices in my head, and honestly, nobody really cares. Like, they're just wrapped up in their own life. But in my mind, I'm going, everybody's going to be wondering where I am and what's wrong with me. And it's like, they're kind of just like more concerned about themselves. It's not even like they're that concerned about me. But it took me a long time to be okay telling my husband, like, I'm not going and I don't feel bad. So there, so yeah, it's hard, you guys. Like, trauma recovery is all encompassing. It takes over your life sometimes. Like, it just takes over your whole life. Like, you don't get to like, just be like, living free and, doing all the things you normally would do and trauma recovery. It's like, it sort of takes over. But when you put the work in and you focus completely on healing, then the rest of your life is like amazing. And it really like frees you up emotionally to do the things that you really want to do. So Marty says, OMG, A's email really resonates with me so much. I always felt that my parents diminished what my brother did to me and assumed that I was somewhat responsible. So I just tried to forget about it. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Marty. I'm so sorry. That does happen a lot. Oh, Harriet, if you could pop up a YouTube card if I have any left. I don't know if I have any left, but if I don't, maybe put it down below. There's a video on sibling abuse, sibling sexual abuse. It's way more common than people talk about because there's such a stigma attached to it. No one wants to believe, like, parents are put in that position. Like, they have one child that's the victim of sibling sexual abuse, and that's their child. And then their perpetrator is like their other child, and they love both children. And they're like, who do I choose? What do I do? And bottom line is, you are not the judge, jury, and executioner. Your children need professional help. They need therapy. They need to be able to talk about what has happened to them so that they're not shamed into silence or, vilified into some perpetrator, or perhaps they need to be held accountable for perpetrating against their younger or older sibling, whoever it is that is the perpetrator of the two. On a very small scale, like a very small percentage of the time, it's consensual, and brother and sister are just like, what's that? And what's that? And I'm curious about you. Are you curious about me? And like, this is interesting. Like, that's a small percentage of the time. Typically, what I have found in my own private practice and in those of my colleagues' private practices, one sibling is typically completely and totally abused and exploited in horrific ways to the other sibling that was the abusers, like their friends and their friends' friends. And that is very, 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 very common. And children need professional help. They need, it's not good if they have to wait until they're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old to actually have their feelings validated, because they carry that shame. The body remembers. The body keeps the score. The body remembers what happens to it. And so we carry around this thing with us that doesn't belong to us. It's all this shame that belongs to the abuser. And it ruins all of our relationships and our finances and our job and our physical health and our mental and emotional and spiritual health, our friendships, the relationship we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with food. I mean, you guys, if something happens with your children, if your children are sexually abused, please, 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 please do not pass go. Do not collect $200 and stop immediately everything you're doing and find a place for them to go get the help they deserve. And if you don't have money and finances are an issue, there are places that you can get to that will offer you free care for your children if they are sexually abused or otherwise abused and they've been in a traumatic situation. I was a single mother. I found a place just by looking. This is before Google. Okay, this is before Google. Okay, you look it up. Alta Vista was like the search engine or whatever, and I helped someone find care for a young child. It was like $5. I was a single mom. What did I know about anything? Someone comes to you and they say, this is what happened. This is what happened. Oh, well, let's get them help. Let's make sure that they're taken care of. Nobody helped me. I just instinctively knew that person needed help, right? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a genius to know that if someone is traumatized at a young age, they need help. So you stop everything you're doing as soon as you realize that someone needs help, and you go get them the help they need. And it's just the right thing to do, whether it's your child or someone else's child. I've had people come to me, several people come to me telling me what's happened with their children. And I've helped them, get professional help, point them in the right direction, get them the help they deserve. And again, I wasn't anybody special. I was a single mom struggling financially myself. I couldn't afford to pay for everything for everybody, but I just instinctively knew that people needed help. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I know we're running out of time tonight. I wanted to read one more email. How's that sound? So this last one was from A, and that was the one that resonated. Here's one from M. Let's see if we have more after this. Oh, we have another one from V, another one from H. Oh my goodness. So we have M. How's that? Let's do M, then V, then H. We're running out of time though, so I'm going to talk fast. M says, I'm not a big fan of social media, like Facebook and Twitter. I know. I have so many people that tell me that week after week. But I will take this chance to say a huge thank you for being awesome and for doing so much for so many. I experience a different kind of abuse than you, but all the same, the videos are helping a lot. I can seldomly take part in your live stream. I hope you're here right now, M. I can seldom, that means not very often. I can seldom take part in your live stream because of the time zone. But I catch up the next day. So you might be catching up the next day tomorrow. And if so, leave a comment below and say hello. Because of the time zone, I found you a couple months ago. I have a full-time job. I'm catching up on your videos. I know you have affordable daily support coming up soon. Yes, we do. If it is possible to participate from the other side of the pond, I mean time-wise, I might sign up. I hope you do. I really hope you do. Because we're going to make one of the times available at least throughout the week, and all the calls are going to be recorded so you can come back and you can listen. You might not be there live, but we'll have an email address you can send in questions, and it'll be a daily thing just like this, but daily. And audio, not video. There's not videos like every day. It's going to be audio every day. And then she goes on to say that then I might sign up, but will I need Facebook or Twitter? No, you will not need Facebook or Twitter, M. No, you will not need Facebook or Twitter. It will be on a private server because so many people hate social media. Well, I mainly wrote to just say thank you. I struggled all my adult life, 50 years, with depression and anxiety. And now I know I probably suffer from CPTSD. I do have Pete Walker's book and the support from your videos and Richard Grannon's. Love him. I have started the journey to heal and become a better me. I've gone no contact with my mother since 7 months and low contact with my ex who discarded me after 25 years of marriage. That is painful. Both of them are drinkers and both of them are denying it. Good for you for having healthy boundaries, no contact and low contact. That's high five, high five. And then M goes on again to say, so again, loads of thanks from someone who is English, someone who's English. She's not English. Someone who's English is not enough to express how much I appreciate all the work you're doing. The knowledge you possess needs to get out there. Also, I love it when the two of you are laughing together in the videos of Bobby and myself from years ago, laughing. I wish you the best. Looking forward to future videos. Yours sincerely, M from Sweden. So thank you, M. You made my whole day. And yes, we have daily support. And yes, you can participate from the other side of the pond. No, you don't need Facebook or Twitter. It is going to be affordable. All the calls are recorded. It's going to be amazing. You can email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org and you can let her know you're interested. And it's super affordable. It starts off at 20 bucks a month. If you get in at 20 bucks, it's forever. After that, it goes up to 50 bucks a month. That's 365 days a year for 20 bucks a month or 50 bucks a month. So that's pretty affordable. I'm really excited. So V says, could you speak to affirmations and forcing oneself to think hopefully? I find that it is like throwing flowers at a huge tank and often spins me into a depression. So yes, I will speak to this. V, it is definitely not a good idea to force ourselves to think hopefully. The best possible way that I know for you to experience hope or the essence of something that feels hopeful is by journaling and asking yourself questions. What would it look like if I felt hopeful? What is like maybe a journal prompt? Like, what is one hope that I have for the future? Or if that's too much for you because it's very triggering, then you can say, what is one time in my life that I remember something I hoped for coming true? And just write about that briefly, even if it's just a couple sentences. How did that feel when something I hoped for came true? A lot of times, like I mentioned on a couple of videos previously, V, it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, V, I mentioned how hopeful feelings and happy feelings can feel very, very, very triggering. And the reason for this is because when we were younger and we thought we figured it all out, we thought if we did this correctly and this and this and this, and we never did this, and we made sure that that was perfect and that was perfect, then all the abuse would go away forever and ever. Black and white thinking. I will never be abused again if I do everything right. If I can only do this, then I will be fine. If I make sure that this is the way it is, then none of the bad stuff will ever happen again. If I can just get A's in school, maybe my mom will pay attention to me. If I can just make sure the house is perfectly clean, maybe my dad won't yell. If I can just dress cool enough for school, maybe my siblings won't bully me and make fun of me. If I can just save up enough money to get the cool pair of shoes, maybe I'll fit in and finally I won't be an outcast at school and I won't feel like I don't belong. We have these contingency plans. We have these hopes. And then typically what happens with pathological people, abusive people, dysfunctional people, lost, hurt people in general, no matter what we do, it's not going to change them. Because all the things that are said to us and done to us as children and adults has very little to do with us, and it has more to do with them. If someone out there on the internet or outside in the courtyard outside my apartment or at the grocery store or up at the beach or in town, if they find something wrong with me, they think bad thoughts about me, they want to make fun of me, they think I look ugly or fat or gross, or what's wrong with her hair, what's wrong with her skin, look at those shoes, didn't Athena wear that to church last week? Doesn't she ever wash her car? Does she really need to buy like an extra box of cereal? Because she really should be losing some weight. Any of these like things that we're thinking, the bad thoughts, the judgments, the projections, it always has more to do with the other person than it does with us. It's a reflection of them more so than it's a reflection of me. Maybe I'm buying an extra box of cereal because I noticed that my friend lost her job and she's low on cereal in her cupboard and she has 3 kids she needs to feed. Maybe I'm buying an extra box to feed my friend's kids. Maybe I had just gone on a drive around the island and my truck's really dirty and didn't look like it got washed. Maybe I have PMS weight and so I look a little frumpier than I normally. Maybe my hair doesn't look so great because I'm going to see the hairdresser tomorrow and I didn't want to wash my hair the day before I go to the hairdresser. Like we can talk about this stuff all day long, right? But we have these thoughts that we think about ourselves and we superimpose other people's voices on them, either because other people have picked on us and thought bad things about us, or it's what we're used to from our childhood. And so when we begin to feel hopeful, all the hopes we have usually have to do with not having to feel those ways, not having to feel like we're fat or ugly or dumb or clumsy or we have a dirty car or dirty hair or frumpy clothes or overweight or whatever, you know, all the things that we're self-conscious about, all the things we hate about ourselves. Very rarely are other people really thinking those thoughts about us right now, but it could be coming up from like a long time ago in our childhood. And so when we are feeling hopeful, it's very triggering to feel hopeful because a lot of times when we were younger, our hopes got crushed and we did everything right. And we bought the cool pair of shoes and we dressed as cool as we knew how. And the house was as clean as it could be, but dad still yelled and I got straight A's, but mom still didn't care. And I did everything I knew how to do, but my siblings still picked on me. And I wore everything that I thought was the right thing to wear, but the kids at school still treated me like an outcast. It's like we can do and hope and try, but when bad things still happen, we think it's a reflection of us and we carry that around with us for years and years and years and years and years. So feeling hopeful and trying to force ourselves to do affirmations can be very, very, very triggering. So what I want to recommend for you, V, is Richard Grannon is one of my colleagues here on YouTube who's a psychotherapist and an NLP master practitioner. He has a video on his channel. Harriet, if you could find this video and pop it below in the description. It's a Richard Grannon video, and I think it's called Black Belt Affirmations for CPTSD. Or maybe it's like green and yellow belt or blue belt. If you type in black belt, yellow belt, blue belt, whatever, Richard Grannon affirmations, those videos will pop up. And they're actually really, really good. So take a look at those, V. And this is the last email. It's from H. H says, thanks for your great content. You're welcome. I can't make the live streams, but I always watch them on YouTube. One that really intrigued me was the one on ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Harriet, if you could pop up the ACEs video, ACES, or link it up in the description down below, that would be amazing. H goes on to say, I've only had a few ACEs, but I have no resiliency factors in my childhood. And I'm finding that I still don't know how to be part of a community or build close relationships. If you ever make a video about building resiliency factors in adulthood, or you already have one, please let me know. Your channel's amazing. Thank you. And it was the beginning for me starting to turn my life around. Yay, all the confetti. So H, we have a video on resilience. Harriet, I don't think I have any YouTube cards left. I really don't. I think I only get 5 per video, which can someone talk to like what do we call them? The overlords at Google or YouTube? And can we just tell them that we need more YouTube cards available? That would be awesome. Otherwise, Harriet, if you could link the video down below on resilience, that would be awesome. And then, another one that might help H, we did one on strength-based recovery. Strength-based recovery. And there's another one that we did called post-traumatic growth. I really think those are going to help you. I know that that's 3 hours out of your time. Like, that's a lot of time to watch videos. Oh my gosh. But maybe you could just log on. Go to nomoreshameproject.com. Click on downloadables. When you get access, you have to enter in your email address. When you get access, this is for H and for anyone else that is wondering about resiliency factors and building resilience and building relationships and all of that. Oh, there's another one on healthy relationships. Harriet, pop up the one on healthy relationships. Healthy interpersonal relationships, I think is what it's called. But yeah, those are really going to help you. Yeah, strength-based, post-traumatic growth, resilience, healthy relationships. But yeah, you guys, sometimes we feel like the things we didn't learn in childhood, like we're never going to be able to learn them. And it's easy for us to think that. It really is. I felt that way for a really long time. In fact, I sometimes fall into that place. I'll sit with my therapist and I'll just be like almost in tears. Like, I can't picture myself getting past this point right now. Like, I think I'm going to stay stuck where I'm stuck right now, like forever. Like, I will be here always, and again, that's a black and white place. I'm coming from a really young place, but it's easy for us to get stuck, and it's really hard. Trauma recovery is so painful. So thanks for taking time to watch this, you guys. I know I went about like 10 or 12 minutes over tonight, but you guys are amazing, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please come back every week. Tell everybody you know that's healing from complex trauma. There's a lot of people out there. It's like 1 billion. There's 1 billion of us, believe it or not, because there's like over 7 billion people in the world. And 1 billion of us, statistically, will have experienced some sort of childhood trauma, sometimes sexual abuse, sometimes verbal abuse, emotional abuse, religious abuse, cult abuse, bullying, some sort of abuse. And if we don't get the help we need when we're young, it follows us around, and there's no shame in that. We just need to heal it when we can, and build our life skills. Sometimes we didn't learn life skills when we were younger because we were so busy surviving, right? We were so busy surviving, we didn't learn about things like, job interviews or balancing a checkbook or healthy relationships or healthy boundaries or grieving or processing our emotions, healthy ways to cope with stress, how to navigate our way through, if we have addictive tendencies and we tend to overuse alcohol or drugs or other things, how do we get out of that pattern? What if we're living with an eating disorder? We have a difficult and painful and tumultuous relationship with food. What if we struggle with body image issues? What if we struggle with daily hygiene? Yeah, please come back. Come back every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in the daily recovery calls, email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org. And if you would like me to answer your questions live here, you can email Lisa, that's fine. Or you can email me, info@cptsdfoundation.org. And but yeah, our daily recovery calls are going to be recorded, and you'll be able to listen to them. They'll always be available 365 days a year. You'll receive support. That's like a lot of support. That's a lot of support. It's amazing. Again, it's going to start off at $20 a month. It's going to go up to $50 a month, and you'll have access to everything. So I look forward to providing that for you guys. Tell anybody you know who might be healing from complex trauma that they're welcome to come here and join us every single week, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I keep forgetting to say that our friends over across the pond in Europe, their time zone, there's like a 2 or 3 week period where we're completely off. Usually we're like a certain number of hours and it's always the same. But then when we do daylight savings time and then they do daylight savings time, like there's like a few weeks when it's just completely wonky. So sorry about that, you guys. Oh my gosh. But thanks for being here. You guys are amazing. You're the most important part of this community. So I think I got to everybody's questions, and I look forward to connecting with you next week. Bye, everybody.